All right.
Just gonna do my setup here.
All right. Excellent connection. There we go. Are you ready? What do we want to talk about today? Mets
Uh,
trade deadline.
yeah, I think we got some stuff. There's plenty NFL, right?
Mm-hmm. All right.
And
Cool.
yeah,
What else?
yeah, Barbie,
NFL
obviously.
trade deadline and Barbie.
Yep.
Ready? Hello, and welcome to another episode of This Is Our Year. I'm your host, Michael Curlin. Joining me, as always, my partner in crime, Douglas E. Freshington.
Douglas
Dougie,
E.
how you doing? How we doing?
The E's for extra energy today. Feeling great. How we doing, man? I see that you got the I Heart Dad mug going on, so
Yes,
you're off to
I
a
am.
good start.
Yes, I got little. My mother-in-law got this for me for Father's
Nice.
Day. Little I love Dad picture of the baby. Cute picture. I mean, my daughter is adorable. I know every parent says that, but
Right.
she's
No,
really
she is.
she's adorable. She's also like 25 pounds. So she's a big 9-month-old baby, almost 9-month-old baby. She's her almost 3-year-old cousins were over yesterday, and they're two little boys, and they're 35 pounds at like 2 years and 9 months. They're they're only a week apart, but 3 years apart, and or 2 years apart, 3 years apart. I don't know.
Yeah.
2 years apart. So
Yeah.
they're
No, that's
35 pounds, and Aurelia is 25 pounds, 2 years less than him. So it's, to me, that's insanity. Like, she's just so Alex had her friends over last week that just recently all had kids, and Aurelia is the first of all of our friend group kids, but these kids are like a month or two behind, and there's only one kid that is bigger than her, and he's a chunk. I think he actually weighs 25 pounds, and he's only like 6 months old. But the rest of them are like, they're like 10, 11 pounds. Like
yeah.
it's like fucking putting Andre the Giant next to a midget, dude. It's just
Andrew Thomas versus Cole Beasley.
yes.
Good on the Giants to lock up Thomas, but we'll get to that. I'm drinking in honor of the Mets. Actually, this is one of my favorite beers, and my eyes lit up when I saw it, and I grabbed all as much as I could. The Tank 7 American Saison out of Kansas City, I believe.
What's a saison? What
I
is an
don't know,
American
man.
saison? I mean, you're the beer expert guy. You do the beer every day.
Yeah, but you
I
know
don't
what?
drink it.
I'm not one of those like I'm a nerd in a lot of ways, but I don't. Just give me the beer. I'll
Yeah.
taste it. Like I don't.
Yeah. Like, dude, I went to Chelsea. I went to the AC Milan Juventus friendly out here in LA on Thursday night,
Nice.
and I got a Modelo. There was all these
Yeah.
friggin' different beers I could choose from. I'm like, just give me a Modelo. Like, I
I
can easily drink a Modelo, and it's fine.
Anywhere, and I'm going to walk right into it here, but I'll help you out there. I believe that's what I was going to at the Mets game last week that we went to. That there's not much to talk about that day, so we could just move on. But yeah, no, dude, Modelo works anywhere. I guess they're killing it because of the Bud Light crowd. Moving on.
Oh my god!
So yeah, good for them, and it's a good beer.
It's good, drinkable,
Yeah,
ballpark beer. And out here, they are usually, the LA. It's one of the LA favorites. So,
are you an Especial guy or the Negro?
Estrella Especial?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or no,
I think that's
you know what?
Dodger
I'm thinking of
Stadium's.
Modelo. Like there's a Negro Modelo, right? There's a black one.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
there is. That one is good too.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, I'm just not a beer guy in general.
Yeah.
I don't drink beer at all. It's limited to stadiums at this point in my life.
Someone's got to do it. So cheers.
Cheers.
52 episodes in, the streak continues. 4 more to Joe D.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was 56. Yeah, what do you want to talk about? Hey, look at my shirt.
I might barf. Nice. You hungover?
No, not mentioning that for any reason.
I do have to bring up our text exchange. So Doug and I and one of our other buddies, Josh, get into this text exchange, usually about sports. Sometimes if Josh has had enough to drink, it'll be random like 90s hip hop artists or artwork that is very obscure that I get lost in. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Last night was a special one. Last night, first of all, Doug participates probably 10% of the time.
Right.
And last night, Doug and Josh were like full 100%. And I was standing on the sidelines like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? So that's when I realized like,
I was getting weird. That's what I love to do, because whenever someone's taking a conversation like in a too serious path, I like to fuck with that. So I was also out in Sono for a couple of birthdays. There may have been a sake bomb or two involved before I jumped into that conversation. So I was feeling good, man. I remember typing the words "signed Mike Glennon picture," and I don't remember why.
That's kind of where he lost me. But he kept going with it. Like I figured you guys knew what you were talking about, and I was just like, Joe Flacco's tall, Mike Glennon, and I was just like,
I wasn't following either. I was just throwing more fuel on the fire. But.
Yeah, well, mission accomplished. But from my point of view, the way this conversation started, and I think this is a good segue, is we can talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about fantasy. Right now, right? Why not?
Hope springs eternal in late July.
At the end of July, exactly. We got drafts coming up. We got keepers ready to be named, and Mr. Rosen was, he likes to do. He is the drunk trader. That should be his fucking team name, but it's something obscure.
He is the defending champ. We got to take him down.
He is the defending champ. We do. Have
let's give him credit.
First time for everything, right? No, good credit where credit's due. He won the championship last year. No asterisks. But
fucking Tyreek.
Oh my god!
I traded for Chase instead of Tyreek, and Chase of course, his hip disintegrates immediately.
Yes.
Ugh. Anyway,
I mean, you can't say of course. You have 3 rings. You have 3 rings, Doug. There's no.
I like how you're counting the really old league that maybe doesn't count in our league. Thank you for the 3.
Oh, the first year when you had Michael Vick and that was it.
And it was on like a weird website.
It was on the ESPN website before it was what it is today.
No, you know what? I swear to God, in like 2005, we had a Yahoo league before this league, and I think I won that one. And then we jumped into Greater Norwalk. Anyway, go. I digress.
Probably, but that league died when we left Yahoo.
Right.
I don't remember any of that, but you're probably right. But this guy last night got on the horn with us on text and started trumpeting how awesome he was because he had outsmarted the whole league and he had given up his 3rd round pick for 2 6th round picks and a 7th round pick. And he was like, jerking himself off so hard that he broke his wrist. And I didn't understand. Like, I was like, what am I missing? And he's like, the 6th round, bro. The 6th round is where all the value is in the top 7 rounds. And I'm like,
yeah, I mean, that part was definitely funny. I at least understand what he's doing. He likes to throw darts. He's low on picks. He wants some darts.
I guess I get that whole premise, but when you give up a 3rd round pick for 2 6th and a 7th, I don't understand why there wasn't a 4th or a 5th involved. Like that seems.
And not only that, you got to think of these picks as like +3. So it's really like a 6th round pick in a regular draft for like a bunch of like 9s and shit.
Maybe like +2, right? Because some of the players you pick are obscure. Like, I'm keeping I am keeping some decent keepers this year, but that's because I was stunk last year and just scoured the waiver wire and picked up injured players that nobody had on their team, hoping that they were going, or suspended players hoping they were going to come back, and I was right about a few of them. So
because you are the king of the
tank 7.
The tank.
Hey,
you have tanked 7 times at least. Yes,
I have tanked maybe 2 or 3 times, but I also have 4 rings, Doug. So I can't lift my left hand.
I got to take shots where I can.
This is about as high as I can get my hand because it's being weighted down.
Yeah. Speaking of jerking off,
This wrist is broken for sure. Oh man.
So, I forgot what we were talking about. Oh, I don't know. It's a fun time of year though, right? Everyone hasn't been like crushed by fantasy football yet. We forget how much of a painful process and just a whole season of like 4 months of the calendar of just aggravation, right?
It's so much anxiety, like especially because you always have some asshole going on Monday night, and you're always down by like possibly an amount where you could either like make or break your week. Not every week, but at least probably half the weeks of the year. You have one guy on your team going on Monday night,
so obnoxious, or the opposite, where you're done and you're waiting for some asshole to like score 7 points,
right?
Yeah.
And so I can tell you make a really valid point. Last year, I played in 4 leagues and I finished in the bottom 4 in all 4 of those leagues. I didn't make
last
the
year was
playoffs in
brutal.
one league. Brutal. Yeah. So many injuries. Every fucking gamble I took exploded in my face. I was so high. I was like Rashard Penny. Yeah, he's finally gonna fucking take off.
Should have known on that one.
I did, but I also drafted him late. But I went like one running back in the first 4 rounds. I didn't take any running backs until the 7th round, 6th or 7th round, whenever the hell I took his ass. And I was like, yeah, this is my sleeper guy, and tore an ACL like week 1 or some shit like that. And
immediately
at that point, I was like, okay, I can't start 7 wide receivers. And even if I could, none of the guys that I have are playing well, because I also drafted Chris Godwin and I drafted Lamar. So every guy I had last year that I thought was going to just explode did explode, but physically not actually on the field.
You remember what I did? I talked myself into Allen Robinson in the 2nd round. I took Sky Moore over Chris Olave in another league.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I was lighting it up. I traded for Jamar. He immediately got hurt. Good stuff. Good times. Anyway,
but you're keeping Jamar this year, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, thank God he came back, but it was like it was a hip injury. It was like Bo Jackson surgery time. It was like great. That's my franchise. Anyway, and I will say this though, it's kind of a hopeful time of year, but it's the worst time of year in the NFL, in my opinion. Training camp is just hoping no one gets hurt. Joe Burrow's already hurt, right?
Yep, which affects Chase for you, right? Yeah, because I don't even know who their backup is.
Jesus, right? Yeah. So like I'm already mad, and I thought I had to keep Joe Mixon in that league, and now what is he like? His values. I don't know. Anyway, but whatever. The Giants locked up Andrew Thomas, and they got the Saquon thing done. We haven't been on in a couple weeks. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about the Giants.
Yeah, I think so. We'll get to Cole Beasley in a second, but
I know.
So Andrew Thomas, 5-year, like I don't know. This is his last year. Next year would have been his 5th year, right? So this is his 4th year.
I forget, but yeah.
Yeah, he was drafted in the same draft. He was drafted in the same draft from Makai. Now, did they get his 5th year and then tack on the contract, or did they just give him a whole new contract starting next year?
That's a really good question. I think it was a whole new contract, but honestly, I'm a little embarrassed. I don't know.
Yeah. So this is Quinnen's 5th year, and we gave him a 4-year deal also, not to steal the limelight, but we are keeping him at his 5th year contract, rookie option contract.
Right. And then it's 4 years after.
4 years after. Right. So
right.
Either way, it's still great.
Sense. It's still
Andrew
great.
Thomas, you needed him locked up. He's your left tackle of the present and future.
Absolute cornerstone. Let's hope Evan Neal can do the same in the next few years. We got both sides of the line locked up. And
think about it though. Andrew Thomas, if I asked you at year 1 if you thought you'd be here after year 1, you'd be like, no, he's a bust.
Yeah,
he had a terrible rookie year.
Rookie year, absolutely
great
call.
And so did Evan Neal. So the guy Evan Neal is
fine.
6'7", 330, athletic freak, and he's playing right tackle, which is less difficult of the 2 tackle spots. Give the kid a year. Even though he came out of Alabama.
Oh, I am.
I think your offensive line will be top 5 in the league for the next 5 years minimum.
Let's hope. I mean, let's hope this center works out. He's not going to start right away, maybe, but and then on the other side of the ball, they locked up Dexter too. This has been a very good offseason. Even there are a lot of Danny Jones haters out there, but whatever.
You
You
had to
know?
do it. We talked
Yeah.
about this when we started the offseason. We talked about what if we had to franchise one of the two guys.
Yeah.
You said you want to sign Jones and franchise Barkley, which is
I
exactly
mean,
what happened.
you don't love it, but I think that was the right move.
Dude, Saquon is going to be 27 this year if
Yeah.
he's not already. Is that right? He had ACL surgery. Is he 2 or 3 years removed now? I think he's 3 years removed, right?
Yeah.
Last year was his second year back.
He's had
So
at
yeah,
least 2 injury years. So
yeah,
yeah.
he had the ankle one year, right? So
Right.
so he had a monster year last year, but and it's really sad the devaluation of running backs
It
from a
sucks.
pay standpoint because now these guys are making personal decisions. Like Jacobs hasn't reported. Saquon was
Yeah.
threatening to hold out. We got one. Who's the other guy? There's one other
Dalvin
guy
got
that's
dumped. What's
Dalvin
his
got dumped because he had not a great year last year. Like he had
Yeah.
numbers wise, it was good, but like everything else he does was bad, and he's also a fucking off the field problem. So
Well, we're going to get to him, but yeah, there's one other running back, and Jonathan Taylor was speaking up. Najee was speaking up on this. They're coming up for contracts, so they see the writing on the wall, and it really sucks in Barkley's case because he's such a warrior. He's a good dude. He's not like the problem guy. And he wants to get paid.
So let's talk about it. What do you like? I actually have a proposed solution, but I mean, I don't know if the NFL would ever do it because it's just more money.
Did you see, I forget which owner made a bitchy comment about this, like something about how
it was like Irsay.
Yeah,
Jim Irsay shit on Saquon,
which is one of the worst owners,
shocker,
which is saying a lot.
Right. Shocker,
He's
Jim
up
Irsay
there.
had something to say. He definitely drinks way too much and then drunk tweets. Him and Josh would have the exchange between the two of those guys would be epic.
Oh my God. It would be the worst.
If we could get Bob Huggins to fly in for that try and triangulate that whole thing, that'd be great.
I wanna pick up my guitar and jam with James Dolan and Jim Irsay. I'll bring all the drugs. Let's do it, boys.
And then we can fucking name Isaiah Thomas the GM of the Colts and fucking make Randy Ballard the I think that's what's Chris Pollard? Chris
Polian? I forget.
Maybe. No, that's Bill
Polian. I don't think you have access. You remember Deadspin they used to do every year why your team sucks. It's on Defector now, which you have to pay for. And I do. I might send you some of these. The one they just did on the Colts was all about Irsay, and it was fucking hilarious.
Yes.
So I always send you the Jets one. I'll try to circulate.
Send me the Jets one, and maybe bring the Colts one so we can read a little bit about it on air next time.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to make me laugh.
Or you know what? I might just do a compendium of all my favorite fan comments because that's the best part. Fans write in trashing their own team, and for those who don't know the format, it's not like saying which team is good and bad every year. This guy trashes every single franchise leading up to the year, in reverse order of how good they are. So
who does it? Is it Drew Magary still?
Yeah, still Drew Magary. Yep.
Drew Magary. I mean, that guy.
He writes a good rant.
I don't know if he's a sports commentator or a novelist or whatever.
He's both. Yeah.
I know. I read his book, The Hike, and
yeah.
He was definitely on drugs when he wrote it. It was good. But there was some drugs involved, and
probably. I mean,
definitely.
By the way, the dude almost died a few years ago. So
oh, that's right. He had didn't he have some in his brain? I thought he had some intestinal thing. But good for him. I'm glad he's still around, and he definitely is hilarious with his satirical rants. On is it satirical? Would that be the right word?
Oh yeah, everything. Just sometimes just angry, right? It's a good controlled anger though.
But back to what we were talking about. We were talking about
the running backs. Yeah.
So my proposed solution would be there should be a designated running back, starting running back. Separate from the cap. Every team, here's your cap. Your cap is $105 million. And of that cap, you have an extra $10 million, and that $10 million can go to your starting running back if he deserves it, something like that, or
would they have to be drafted by the team? Is this like the Larry Bird rule kind of in the NBA?
I don't know. Maybe you pay your own running backs with that, and you can play. It's kind of but it's that. What's different than the franchise? I guess nothing, right? But I don't know.
They used to have something else. Remember, it was what they call
There
that
was
thing?
the franchise, and then there was the transition tag. They still have the transition tag. No one fucking
they do?
uses it anymore.
No.
Yeah. So the franchise tag has changed now, where it used to be you could tag the person every year, and it was the top 10 at that position's average salary was what they got. And if you did it 2 years in a row, there was an escalator in there. Now, you can only do it 2 years in a row because people were using it as a way to keep someone long term. And the problem with that franchise tag, the problem with the franchise tag is there's no guaranteed money. And that's why everyone hates it, because that's where everyone makes their money in the NFL is their signing bonus, right? So you sign a 10-year, $100 million contract. I'm just making things up. And from that 10-year, $100 million contract, 2 years are guaranteed at 20 million, and then you get a signing bonus of 20 million. So you're guaranteed 40 million, because in the NFL contracts are not they're not enforced, right? So you can cut someone after all the guaranteed money's gone, and then you can prorate whatever that guaranteed money was over the course of like the next few years that you wrote. So most of these contracts are actually what you see come out is not the actual contract.
Oh, it's always nonsense. Yeah.
Are like 7 years, like 27 million for 7 years with 49 million guaranteed, and they just front load everything so that way you can when you cut someone, and like it's just
the only
really
sport
weird
where
way
you can do that.
Yeah, it's the only non-guaranteed contract sport in all of the major sports. So, and I think it's a lot of it has to do with the shelf life of the player. A lot of it has to do with the
nature of the sport,
enormity of the roster. I mean, it's the biggest roster by far, and when you got a lot of fringe guys on the bottom part of the roster, you can't be giving them guaranteed contracts.
If everything was guaranteed, it would be a mess. It would just be a logjam for most teams.
Right. Well, you couldn't have a cap. You couldn't have a cap.
Yeah, basically.
Every time you cut someone, you'd be owing them this money, right? So that's why the bottom half of your roster, a lot of these guys have very minimal guarantees, very minimal signing bonuses, and it's just non-guaranteed money. You have to prove yourself to get to that point. And that, I think, is where the running back issue is like, okay, I have proven myself now, but most running backs age out after 4 years. So by 26,
which is the rookie contract,
which is 4 years is the rookie. So maybe that's how they change it. Maybe running back contracts are only 2 years, and every other position is 4 years.
I like that too.
That becomes a mess too. There's got to be some sort of like in the MLS, which not to go to I'm jumping all over the place, but they have designated.
Messi's here now.
They have designated player contracts, so they have two, right? And you can sign those two players for whatever the fuck you want, and it doesn't count towards your cap. But then, if you open that up to everyone, then what? So I don't know, man. There's got to be.
What do you mean? There is so much money in the NFL. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear owners saying like,
but they want a cap in place. This is how they have cost control. Payroll is their biggest expense.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying get rid of the cap, but I like that idea of like two players who just don't count. I don't know.
Right. Maybe you have your running back contract doesn't count towards your cap. Maybe your running back room doesn't count towards your cap.
I'm sure there's something they're going to fight.
Or maybe any running back not on a rookie contract doesn't count towards your cap. So you can re-sign your guys, give them some money. They're still not going to want to pay them 20 because, yes, there's definitely collusion going on in the NFL on the running back position and what they're getting paid. But if you look at the last 10 years of historical data, and it's probably longer, after the first contract, when these guys get paid, they fall off a cliff within 1 to 2 years. There's a few anomalies to that.
Right.
Like but Adrian Peterson.
That is the data, though. You're right.
That is the data. So it's like, I don't know.
It's a tough spot for them, yeah.
Maybe they do.
I like that 2 years and like not unrestricted, but some kind of like.
Or maybe they do a bonus for the running back year-end bonus based on the stats they put up that doesn't count towards the cap.
Something like that.
You know how they have the one for the rookie player. The rookie players have that if they play a certain amount of downs, if they finish a certain if they're
all kinds of incentives, right? Like contract.
Right. If you're like a 6th-round draft pick and you outplay your draft position where you were making you're signed to a 4-year deal worth the league minimum, right? Like 2.8 million, right? That's the league minimum contract, right?
Wait, is that the minimum yearly?
750 is the minimum, I believe.
Oh, okay. So you did 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So 4-year, $2.8 million contract, right? So something like that.
I did a double take there for a second. Okay.
So, well, what happens is if you become a starter, or you play a certain number of snaps, or you get a certain number of things, you get all these
escalation bonuses and shit,
which push your contract up. So maybe do the same thing for running backs. I don't know. They're going to have to figure it out though, because it's not going.
It's going to be a battle.
It's not trending in a good direction, and you don't want
Do you know when the next CBA is? We can look it up.
Didn't we just finish that last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, we might have. Yeah. I think that's why Irsay said that, because it was pretty recent. So,
I mean, it's the worst union in all of sports. But anyway,
I know.
We're way the fuck off topic.
No. This is good, and that's why baseball players have it good, because no cap and guaranteed contracts. But I want to get back to running backs, because it looks like you guys meaning the Jets, are going to pick someone up, right?
It's trending in that direction.
Going to take it easy on Brees.
Looks like Dalvin Cook is coming in tomorrow to probably sign his deal.
And there are a ton of free agent running backs out there still. Yeah,
and so a lot of things happened in Jets world in the last month since we've really talked about it. We had like $30 fucking million in cap space. Rodgers redid his contract, which he gave up $35 million and signed a 2-year, $75 million deal.
Right.
Took down from he was going to be 1 year, $108 million, or so. It was all guaranteed.
And by the way, I'm a hater. I don't want to hear about how he's such a good guy for doing this. There's got to be something, he's for giving up $35 million.
I think he knows this is his last 2 years, and he doesn't want to surround. He was like, look at the same shit Brady did when he was in Tampa. Brady was like middle of the quarterback getting paid.
Yeah.
So that they could. Well, So he's doing it so that we can pay people to come.
Does Rodgers have the same kind of revenue coming into him off the field
as Brady?
Brady is like,
I mean, I don't think it's the same, but I mean, Rodgers was the State Farm insurance guy
that's true.
Until the last 3 years
he
when
did
Mahomes
Jeopardy.
took over.
All right, so you actually think he was like, I have enough money, guys, let's win?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what that's if you looked at his press conference after they announced the signing. I don't care about press
conferences, but
I know. After they announced the signing, they asked him, are you planning on playing 2 years? And he said, yes. If, all things considered, they gave up a lot to get me. I signed a 2-year, $75 million fully guaranteed contract down from 2-year, $107 million fully guaranteed contract. So he said that could change depending on how my body feels and what happens this year, or if we have a magical season, is what he said. He didn't say win the Super Bowl, but he was alluding to if they win the Super Bowl, he's probably going to retire. Which, if he wins the Super Bowl, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
retire.
You won't. You
and
will not.
Dude, I will build you a statue out of whatever. So
out of Ayahuasca.
Exactly. So that being said,
comments on Sean Payton. Oh, sorry.
I'll get to that in a second. So I think we need, if you look at the running back room, Brees is coming off an ACL. We've been telling everyone he's going to be ready week 1. He hit, 23 miles per hour on the sideline running the other day. I don't care. He's still got to hit the hole and cut, and running backs do not have a good track record first year back. Yeah. Michael Carter had a really down year last year. Israel Abanikanda, whatever his last name is, a fucking 5th round draft pick. So I don't expect him
you got a guy named Zonovan. That's a pretty cool name though.
And Zonovan Bam Knight, also undrafted guy.
So is his name Bam? That's cool.
That's his nickname, Bam. Yeah. So I think those 3 guys are all, a good 2, 3, and 4 running back in your running back room.
I think you pick up a vet.
Well, I think you got to, and I think Dalvin Cook. If you can get Dalvin Cook in here, and he's not your starting workhorse bell cow, 25 touches a game.
Well, he can be to start the year, and you break in Brees slow, right?
Right. So
you can just burn a bunch of carries on Dalvin early.
And I think having a veteran in that room that's also ring chasing, that's been there before. Yes. Now, I don't love Dalvin's off the field bullshit that he's been dealing with the last couple of months with beating his ex-girlfriend and whatever the hell else he
once again did with these guys, man. Yeah. Tyreek too. Always.
I don't know.
I know.
I don't get it.
They always get off. But anyway, what I was gonna say. Yeah. So Dalvin, I don't know. So you think he'll like you guys? Are you guys up against the cap? He'll
No,
take
I
like a
think we
minimum.
still have room. I mean, we still
Yeah.
have plenty of room. That's
All right.
why I think Rodgers did what he did, so that we could,
We're,
you know, get the Quinnen I mean, if you look at it, it all happened pretty around the same time. Quinnen's contract was redone, then Rodgers restructured,
yeah.
and now we're looking at bringing in Cook. And
So Dougie Fresh is I don't know what that. Let's not go with that. So the Douglas is doing some work.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think you have fucking Aaron Rodgers for 2 years. It's Super Bowl or bust, right? It's
Yeah.
not. We're not talking about just making the fucking playoffs anymore. We're talking like we need to win a championship for this to be successful in everyone's mind.
You
At
guys
some
want
point
Cole
in time.
Beasley? I think we have Cole Beasley next for one.
You got Cole Beasley. You got Cole Beasley. How do you feel about that, Doug? How do you feel about Cole Beasley?
He's gonna lead us in receiving yards. By the way, guaranteed. It's gonna be one of those years, right?
I mean, Dable loves him.
Yeah, I still think that's the Giants' kind of Achilles heel. I don't know about this wide receiver room at all. It's just either not ready or it's kind of retreads. But that can be addressed.
Who's going to be your
as we
starting
go
receivers? Who's going to be your starting
forward.
receivers?
It sounds like. Oh, and by the way, it sounds like Waller's going to be a huge part of this offense. By the way, until he gets hurt. But you know who's getting a lot of looks on first team right now, and kind of like the second amount of targets. I mean, it's so early, but do you know who it is?
Hudgens, Isaiah
Harris
Hudgens.
Campbell.
Okay, interesting.
We'll see. But you're right. We have a million slot guys.
But if you think about the Buffalo
Hodgins.
Bills,
Yeah,
before they brought in Stephon Diggs,
Mhm.
it was the same receiver room for them. They had Cole Beasley. They had
Crowder. Well,
I guess he replaced. He replaced.
But Crowder's
Beasley.
on the Giants too. We have Beasley,
I don't know. He probably
Crowder.
won't make. He probably won't make that team.
It's
You
just
guys,
funny they collected
between-
all the slot receivers. Wandale,
But they're all good little
Sterling.
like, guys. Sterling, is he a slot guy or can he play outside?
At this point in his career, I'd rather have him inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can play both though. You're right.
And then you drafted Hyatt. He's an outside guy.
He's
right?
an outside guy. I don't think he's going to be ready.
No. And then you have Hodgins, right? Is that his name?
Yeah, and I think he can play both. And we have
He's an
Slayton as a
outside
long
guy.
guy too.
And he's an
Deep
outside
threat.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you guys, I mean,
it's all right,
Waller,
but there's no game breaker there really.
I don't think that's fair. I think
Who are
Hyatt,
you scared of?
I don't think you're scared of anyone, but
Yeah,
I do think
that's
that
my point.
you have to respect Slayton's over the top speed. You have to respect Hyatt's over the top
Hyatt,
speed.
yeah. They're going
You
to tell
have
that kid just
and
to
I think-
sprint down the field.
I
Yeah.
can't remember. Is Wandale a speedster? Don't you have to respect his over the top speed too?
He's a tiny slot dude. I mean, yeah, he's got.
But he's
speed,
still-
but
So you still, I think he's a 4-3 guy. Still,
Oh, yeah,
if
no, he's
lined,
quick.
If he's lined up against a linebacker and
he'll burn.
I mean, I think that's the whole premise to your guys' offense is like just a guy that is going to pull the safety deep or that can beat the linebacker underneath.
Yeah, and
then
Slayton
you-
does that fine, I guess.
And then you got the guys like Waller and Beasley or Shepard that sit down in the
Please with
zone.
Beasley.
And
Is he going to make the team? He
I don't
was
know.
quit a few years ago, I thought.
He didn't quit.
He was being bitchy about the vaccines, right?
He's definitely a Trumpster. He got cut by the Bills.
Right.
He went back to Dallas last year where he started, and I don't think he made I think he got cut in training camp, and then
That's
he
a
just
garbage
took-
franchise. So great. Let's pick him up.
Yeah, he took the year off. Well, he knows Daboll's system. That's the whole point,
He does,
right? That's why they wanted him, because he knows Daboll's system. He knows what to expect, and dude, you want to go back to fantasy football for a minute? I mean, the guy's probably 33 at this point, but
He's
he's
caught a
the
lot
guy
of
that
passes.
he always gets open. You know, he'd have 7 catches for 75 yards every game.
He's
That's
probably
a 10-point a week guy.
Yeah, dude, he's probably way higher on like the career receptions list than we realize.
I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah.
But I mean, is he going to make your team? I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know. But I think your team is predicated on Saquon and Daniel having lanes to run in.
And then Waller, obviously. So we're talking
Right.
third options at best. But
Right.
it's just funny. I didn't think we'd be talking about Cole Beasley today. And especially if you told me last year, like going into camp, we're talking about Cole Beasley being a starter, I would be like, well, Giants still suck.
Right. Well, maybe he's like your backup slot guy. I mean,
yeah, it's fine.
You guys dealt with so many injuries for your wide receivers last year.
Hey, but we have new turf now. Fingers crossed. The Jets too, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, we don't change out turf in between games, just logos. So, And the Jets definitely got a new third logo, which everyone's super excited about.
I haven't seen it.
It's the old logo. It's this logo right here. If I can grab it without ripping my microphone out. It's this logo right here. We're just bringing it back.
Oh, nice.
Bringing it back to 80s Sack Exchange.
80s shit.
Yeah, I think that's going to be their. Me too. I think it's going to be their new uniform next year. Because next year they can change uniforms. Is the one that they have now.
Bring back Al Toon and Wesley Walker, baby.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Oh, dude, I was playing Immaculate Grid. I don't know if you know that game, and one of the categories was Jets who have rushed for 1,000 yards in a season. And the way you play that is you want to like pick the most obscure answer you can. So I'm always living on the edge. I always get things wrong. I was like, okay, Freeman McNeil is probably correct, but I think a lot of people still remember him. So I went with, you know who I went with? Johnny Hector. Motherfucker never had 1,000 yards. Damn
I don't think he ever had 500 yards.
What? I feel like he was there forever.
He was like a high draft pick and never panned out. He was just the Jets were the king of in the 80s.
Blair Thomas,
yeah, they were the king in the 80s and 90s of drafting high running backs that never panned out. Like Blair Thomas, number 3 overall, never panned out.
Rough.
Yeah, but then we would trade for like Ronald Jones, and he would rush for 1,000 yards. Yeah, some stupid
Adrian Morrell or somebody.
Ronald Moore. Yeah, exactly. Adrian Morrell. I don't know if he ever. I think he
Johnny
never
Johnson.
hit 1,000.
Yeah.
Thomas Jones, though, we picked that guy up
Thomas
off the scrap
Jones,
heap,
dude,
and he had like 3 good years. So
he did.
We'll see. All
right.
So
anyway,
let's talk a little Mets baseball. Doug.
Yeah.
Let's transition.
Let's get to the Mets.
We got the trade deadline coming up on Tuesday.
And by the way, we attended our game of the year, and they lost. It was a day game against the White Sox, right?
Yep, Quintana's fucking first start. It was
good to go to the field. Thanksgiving, putting that together.
Field. Too hot. We ended up drinking a lot at the Diamond Club with Brittany,
our bartender
that has been there for 15 years, and
yeah,
she said she remembered us. I don't believe it, but
no,
maybe I remember her. Yeah,
she's a bartender. She's supposed to say that.
Yeah, she's always there, which is.
But you're right. Like once you said it, I was like, oh yeah, she does. Yeah.
She's been our bartender like the last 5 years that we've gone
down there in the Delta Club. Love
in the Delta Club, which me and Doug have we're like Norman there once a year. So
not there yet, but we got to someday do that outfield club, obviously too. I know this is just the first year of it.
Yes, we got to let the prices fall on that a little bit, but I will say that the game
Pete
was
Alonso's
trash.
Back,
dude. You know, as much as we had last year, no real injuries, right? We had a little Scherzer injury like in the middle of the year.
Scherzer, missed about 10 starts.
But other than that, like last year, we had a pretty blissful season of no injuries. And this year, the gods have paid us back.
Yeah.
The gods have paid us back. And this is why I was slamming the table so hard last year to make the moves.
Oh, I know.
To trade for the catcher at the deadline. We did nothing. We stood pat. And we got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs.
And we somehow lost a trade badly where we just gave a bunch of guys we thought were afterthoughts. The rough trade.
For Tyler Naquin? Yes.
Yeah, rough for JD.
That trade actually isn't that big of a deal in retrospect. The trade that we gave up for Tyler Naquin, like the 2 kids we gave up, those guys are hurting. They're going to hurt us long term.
That's a really good segue. Thoughts on, and sorry to steal your thunder about the injuries, but yeah, it's just been a bad season. But
it's been an awful season.
But that Robertson deal was kind of like the anti Sandy Alderson deal. Your thoughts?
everyone's fucking armchair quarterbacking this deal.
I love it.
I mean, I do too. We got this Vargas kid, infield prospect, 19 years old, uh, already.
Who's having a crazy year.
Yeah, and yeah, these guys are at rookie ball, but he's already the number 6 prospect in our
Yeah, man.
farm system. He went from the 18th ranked or 19th ranked prospect in the Marlins to the 6th in the Mets. So
again, we're talking rookie ball, but yeah.
But we gave up 2 guys. We gave up 2 guys last year to the Reds.
Oh,
so
dude.
it's a.
Yeah.
I can't remember their names, but both of them were probably 18 or 19, 20 ranked prospect in our
and they're killing it, right?
Farm system. And one of them is already up in the big leagues and is a top 50 prospect overall.
Andy Rodriguez or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
See, I'm getting that trade mixed up with the Lucchesi one or the Lucchesi one because the guy we gave up in that one is like apparently rocketing up someone's farm system.
Yeah, too. So it is what it is, man. You got to give something to get something, and if you're gonna go dump at the end of the trade deadline because you're not going to make the playoffs, unless you're going to get yourself a bona fide like pitching prospect, like they're talking Verlander to Texas for Jack Leiter or the number 2 guy, what's his name, Owen Mills or something like that.
Basically, the Mets are like, hey, we don't want to trade him, but if these offers are going to be these offers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're going to move Verlander,
Jack Leiter would be insane. But yeah, I want to go back to the Robertson trade first.
I think it's a great move. He was a free agent at the end of the year. We can, if we really want him back, we can re-sign him, and hopefully it'll be a different year.
In fact, re-sign him. I'll say it now. Go get him again.
And Buck pretty much teed that up. He was like, I thought we were going to have a great bullpen with Edwin and Robertson and Ottavino, 6, 7, 8, 9. And he's like, but all we got to watch was a great WBC, which is back to my bitching at the beginning of the year. So I don't care that these guys like the WBC. It partially tanked our season. Our closer was out before spring training.
Our season.
Yeah, we've never recovered.
I was never a ban the WBC guy, but that's definitely what happened.
Just do it in November at the end of the year, right? Or don't use starting pitchers or let them pitch like 2 innings. Like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck about the WBC.
Then maybe don't celebrate anymore.
I don't pay like $150 to go see a WBC game. I don't care. I pay $150 to go see a Mets game.
It's not really for Americans, is it? But so anyway, real quick on the Robertson trade before we move on. The reason I said it was the anti-Sandy trade, and I saw a lot of people complaining about this deal for this reason. Everybody was like, "Oh, we need pitching," and people are bitching. But it's like remember that year where we were just collecting AAA pitchers?
Right.
The ceiling on that was Drew Smith.
Right.
Do you remember what we traded Addison Reed for? Who was our closer? You remember the 3 guys? Can you name them?
Steven Nagosic,
Pistache,
and like 2 other guys that I don't think pitch in the MLB anymore.
One of them ended up in the Cano trade. By the way, that was such a cursed era. And Gerson Bautista and Jamie Callahan pitched a couple innings and never was seen again. And of course, we just said goodbye to the stash as well, Steven Nagosic. So, sure, you can get some AAA filler to finish out a year where you go 77 and 84, but like, why bother?
Right.
Go for the kids. See if you get a lottery ticket here. Why not? Especially for a guy like Robertson.
Right. Exactly. You got 2 guys. You got a catcher who and a second base prospect.
All right.
It doesn't matter though. Like these kids are 19. Yeah. Paredes already 23. Like he's going to be coming up soon.
He should be rocketing up. He's had a okay year.
It's okay. It's okay.
He started off really slow.
You got to let them get their feet under them. But we are starting to refill our coffers. All of our prospects are in AAA right now, or they've graduated between Beatty and Alvarez.
All the big guys.
Vientos and Mauricio. Alex Ramirez is the only one that still hasn't quite made it to AAA, but he's still young.
He's not exactly killing it this year either after really good last year.
He's still young. I think he's in AA. He's still young. So just like you said, I don't care what position, just get the best young guy you can.
Yeah.
And if they don't make it to us, at least we can turn around and deal them to somebody for, a deadline deal next year, right? Like
exactly.
If we're in that position. So let's talk about Verlander and Scherzer now. The Robertson deal, he's a 38-year-old guy. We can re-sign him, like you said. I am also with you. Bring him back for the same deal next year if we can.
Yep.
But what do you want to do? What do you want to do with this team for the rest of the year? I mean, we're clearly not competing. The team has not been able to hit this year to save their life. And we've dealt with
we've won 2 in a row against the Nats. We can go 30-3.
Right.
No, so the reality is that we don't have the bullpen and the back half of the starting rotation to contend this year. I think everybody agrees on that. I would if we can get something like Jack Leiter for Verlander is gone, in my opinion. Go. Thank you, Justin. You're amazing. I know he's your favorite pitcher. But my God, if we can get that kind of haul and kind of clear that money, and I don't know how that works. I don't know how his contract works, but I know there's kind of an issue with Max because he has a player option. And Max, you saw what Max said last 24 hours, right?
Yes.
How he just like he needs to know what's going on here. I don't think he wants to get dealt, or am I looking at that wrong?
I think, they just did the soundbite of like the inflammatory shit, but at the end of the day, like he's a 38-year-old guy with a player option next year, and his window in his career is closing. He's got maybe this year and next year, maybe he signs another 1 or 2 years after that, just as like a back end guy. But he's definitely had a down year, and I think it's a declining year.
Well, but I don't think so. By the way, like Verlander and Max have been pitching great the last month or two.
They've been pitching good. I think the spin rate and the fucking pitch clock really fucked with Max a lot. So maybe you're right. Maybe
definitely
he's
at first.
Maybe he's figuring it out now, and
he did 7 innings, 1-run ball last night, and he's done that a lot lately. I feel
you know what happened last night, right? I turned the game on, and I turned it on. I haven't turned on a game in like
I'm
2 months.
Why? You were that bored, huh?
No, my wife's family came over. We did taco night, and my father-in-law was in the house, and just flipping around trying to find whatever sports game was on. I was like, the Mets are on.
Sure.
And you know exactly the part I turned it on for, right?
No, I didn't see the game. I was out.
Oh, okay. But it was top of the 7th. And Verlander's pitching a shutout, and I turn on the game.
Scherzer is.
Sorry, Scherzer's pitching a shutout, and I turn on the game, and
instant home run.
Instant home run. Maybe I saw.
You got the touch, baby.
Dude, it was like I think
he's got the touch.
I think I got in like the bottom of the 6th, and like whatever I turned on, it was like 2 flyouts. I wasn't paying attention. Luis Garcia, fucking Met killer, comes up to the plate, smashes a home run, and I'm like, ugh. Then Dom Smith comes up and crushes a double. Turned it off. We won 5-1.
Our You're boy welcome. Dom.
You're welcome.
Good to see Dom still getting an MLB check.
Yeah, right. So I don't know, man. I'm all.
So what would you do? Would you trade him?
Dude, these are 40 and 38-year-old pitchers. Like, trade them if you can get a haul for them right now, because they would be the best 2 guys on the market. They're obviously not going to go to a team that's not a contender. If I'm
the Rangers or Dodgers pay for Verlander, I love it.
They both have the Rangers and the Dodgers can offer crazy good prospect packages.
Yeah,
do it. And the same for Scherzer,
like organizational changing prospects, right?
Right.
We would jump up lists.
The Rangers number 1 and 2 prospects are like top 10 overall.
Let's get one.
Like Jack Leiter, yes, we want to bring Al's son home, cool, but like
we'll never hear the end of that shit. But you're right.
He's definitely not having a great year, and he's not even in their top 5. There's better prospects you can get besides Jack Leiter.
You remember the old adage: "There's no such thing as a pitching prospect." That's why you have to get a lot of them. So
right.
I love the move, but
I mean, I think
I'm not sure about Max. I think you keep one of them, maybe.
I would trade them both.
A few weeks ago, I was with you.
What do you do? What do you do now if you trade them both?
The problem is next year.
Then you have Quintana if you don't trade him. I would definitely trade Carrasco if I can get anything for him because he's gone after this year.
Quintana and Carrasco, I'm sorry, they're not. Yeah, they're not going to get you anything. I don't
I
think.
mean, I'd still trade him.
Oh
So you
yeah,
got
I'd trade
Senga,
Carrasco in a second.
Maybe Peterson, maybe McGill, who are both trash. Maybe Lucchesi, who's
Yep,
been trash. So it means
trash.
you've got to sign 2 to 3 to maybe 4 starting pitchers in the
Yeah.
offseason.
So
Who's that?
every
Who's
fan
that
is
going to
saying
be?
Lucas Giolito and the Yamamoto guy, and sure, that's easy to type, but we're talking about free agent markets. You can't bank on getting both those guys.
I mean,
That's why I'm saying keep it. That's why I'm saying keep Max, and I think Max's contract is a lot more complicated to deal anyway. We'll see.
I don't care, man. I think that's what the front office gets paid for. And at the end of the day, if you can get in these teams into bidding wars for both of them, and you can get offered a haul for both of them, separate deals, and you can make 2 separate
if it's
deals,
an absolute haul, yeah, why not?
then why not? And then
it clears a ton of cabbage too,
a ton, and then you can throw it at. I mean, even if you have to pay,
even if you have to pay them off to get the prospects,
whatever, man, get the prospects, get the that's what he's supposed to be doing. Get the prospects,
right?
And then fucking see. I mean, of those prospects, hopefully 1 or 2 can challenge for a starting rotation position next year, right? And maybe
and long term a top rotation spot.
McGill and Peterson, one of them's got to be able to figure out next year. There's something going on with them this year.
Yeah.
So they're both having down years, and
Peterson may never see the rotation again. We'll see.
No, he may not. But McGill, I mean, he was so
McGill.
Good
They
for
need
2
to
years.
Just figure it out. We need him. Although Tidwell and Vasil and Hamill are pitching decently down there. Stewart.
Tidwell's the best pitcher in the minor leagues in the second half.
Yeah,
so he's pitching really well.
And thank God we're not going to be dealing these guys.
No, we're not dealing
Parada
anyone.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not dealing anyone. We are restocking.
We're not doing any Pete Crow Armstrong trades. I know you don't care about him, but
I mean, he's a top 7 prospect overall in baseball. That trade is really, really bad. Yes, that trade was really, really.
Was
bad.
that Sandy or Brody? I forget.
That was Brody. Yep.
To think at some point I even defended that hiring.
I mean, if you had signed him, maybe it would have made more sense. But for a rental, we weren't even contending. It was so stupid. We were not good that year.
That was a dumb year where they got Stroman, but
that was
basically
the year
we're like,
COVID.
now we don't have to sign Zach Wheeler. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're the New York Mets.
Right. It was before Cohen took over, and it was the last year of Van Wagenen.
Yeah.
Right? So
it was last year of the Wilpons. And we had listened to shit like, now that we have Marcus Stroman, we don't have to sign Zach Wheeler. Marcus Stroman can take that spot.
Right.
Insanity.
Stupidity. But, the coupons always did what they did. So, which was sexually harass all of their employees and
trade for over the hell guys. Yeah.
Right. Awful.
Love you, Fred.
Oh, thanks, Fred. Thanks, Jeff. It was actually Jeff. Fred
was Jeff. Yeah.
Fred was just dumb with his money, with his investments to other people. But Jeff he was trying to give his son the franchise to run, and the son had no idea how to run a franchise.
Dude,
no clue how to run a franchise.
You can't stand the nepotism in those cases. It's so bad. Anyway,
what would you do if you had a son?
They get to
I would do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would do the same thing if I could, but I'd goddamn make sure the kid wasn't a fucking idiot. And
Jim Irsay didn't buy the Colts. His daddy had him.
Right. So same thing with Mark Davis.
Oh God, yeah. We could. Well,
that Al Davis bought the Raiders for $10 million, and they're worth they're worth billions now.
I would guess it was less than 10. I would guess it was something in like 1965, right? Like Al Davis was around for a while. Was it 10 mil in the 60s? Okay,
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I saw a list of like how much each franchise went for, and there's some on there that are so cheap because they've never been sold. Like the Giants, I think.
Right. It was the card game.
They were like $25,000. I think that's how much
the legend is Wellington Mara won the Giants in a card game. I'll believe that, sure.
And then created 2 actress daughters that both love to take their clothes off in movies. Yeah. Interesting.
God bless. Great American. And the Giants and the Steelers are like the same family. It's weird. Like the Rooneys and the Maras.
The Kennedys.
Mm-hmm.
So, Doug, it's been a great show. What do you got to say?
We calling it? All right. Well,
we calling it.
Ton of options. I'll let you do one if you want to, but I want to call out someone special for Viacom Diaz today. What's that?
I'm listening.
Yeah, man. A guy near and dear to our hearts. A guy who was probably a large baby as well. Big Sexy just retired. Age 50 officially, and he retired as a Met. So props to Bartolo Colon, man. We'll always love you. And you helped get us to a World Series one year, and you hit that home run.
I was at that game. I'll never forget. I was at the game in San Diego.
Wait, hold on. Remember when we were saying like best Mets games you've been to? I totally forgot that you went to the Big Sexy game too.
I did.
You've been lucky.
I have. Yeah.
So anyway,
I love it.
Bartolo Colon.
Cheers, Bartolo. Vaya con Dios. Don't die though. Just retire.
Mm-mm.
Just
don't die, Bartolo. And honestly, if you want to pitch this year, just come on back.
I mean, at this point,
can't be any worse.
You could be a fifth starter and just at least get us.
You want to eat some innings? Yeah.
Why not?
I think we got some openings after this week. So, when is the deadline?
Tuesday.
Is it the 31st? Yeah. Okay.
Or Monday.
Or is it like early August now?
I thought it was August 1st. I thought it was like 4:00 on August 1st, but maybe it's Monday on July 31st.
All right.
Who knows?
Well, it's going to be quite a conversation probably next time we meet.
Yes, sir. All right. It's been great, Dougie. Audience, until next time. All right.